your runner, and welcome to FM Tahiti for our end of season review for the end of season 2. So our second season with the Humpbacks and our second season just in the save game in general. So we've not been sacked yet. And if you've watched the last few videos, then you should have a good idea of how well or how badly, depending on your point of view, the end of the season has gone. So it's our first season in the Premiership, so we were just kind of hoping for survival. Really, that's all I wanted. The board wanted a little bit more, but not much more. So what I'm going to go and do now is take you through how we did in the competitions, through the competitions in general, so you can see some of the other clubs who start to do well, and you'll be able to see there are a few clubs who are starting to build a bit of a, I don't want to say dynasty because it's only 2 seasons in, but there's some teams to watch now. It's starting to shape up. It's got a bit more character to it. Also have a look at the international scene, so you can see how the national sides are doing. And the spoiler for that is not much different from before because it's still a bit too early. And then I'll talk a little bit more about some of the club issues and infrastructure, so the finance, some of the brief tactical plans and things like that. Before I do all that though, thank you for watching this. Do appreciate it. Any likes and comments. Comments are really helpful and really useful, so if there's anything you spot that you like, you hate, you want to suggest, drop a comment in there or talk to me on Twitter. And if you prefer, the written form instead, there is a blog attached to this, so the end of season 1 review is up there. By the time this video goes live, I'll have finished writing the end of season review for the second season, because it'll be based on this. And there's a post or 2 up there about the backgrounds, a post on squad views that I've just put up, and there's going to be one on tactical stuff as well I'm going to put up on there, so have a look at there if you want. First of all, let's have a look at our competitions. So this is where we are. These are the 4 competitions we were in: Premiership, OCL, so the Champions League, the Inter-Island Cup, and the Mutineer Pride Trophy. And from a glance, there are certain things that stand out. So if you look at some positive things that stand out, Semi Gerard is a particularly good goal scorer and a particularly highly rated player across the board. We'll have a look at him in a second or 2, but he's done well for us this season. If we look at the Premiership, we finished 5th, 47 points, 14 wins, not too bad. Fairly positive goal difference. We were 10 points off the eventual winners, Bora Bora. So Bora Bora, one of the very resort-like tropical islands that you'll see quite often in any of the pictures that say they're from Tahiti. It's probably Bora Bora. But they did quite well. So we touched first a few times. We were always very close, and up until, say, around here, we were probably only within a win or 2 of first place. We weren't far off challenging for the title, but we bottled it. It all went to pot. I think part of that was because we had 2 of the cup finals and the OCL stuff to deal with at the same time. But we were never lower than 5th, which is good. Bora Bora were a surprise win there, so let's point out their graph here. So Bora Bora weren't first until the penultimate game of the season. They just sneakily crept in right at the end and changed everything really. And it was a tough season, but we got some good results and a lot of strong teams. So this top 6 here, I'd probably say are the 6 strongest teams without a doubt in the league system we've got now. Not just because we finished top 6 in top flight, but in terms of performances in other competitions and the players they've got, these are the top 6. And then maybe Talha, even though they finished down here. So the board wanted us to finish top half, which we did, so they're happy enough with that. I just wanted us to survive, and with the bonus of qualifying for the OCL, which we did at the halfway point, because if you remember from other videos in the blog, it's whoever's in 1st and 2nd just before January or the start of January that then gets entered into the OCL because of the way the seasons are offset. So we did well on that front. Which was nice. I'm not too sad about not winning the title because it was never meant to be on the cards this season anyway. Over in the OCL that we qualified for, we just expected to be competitive. We weren't ever expected to actually get in it this season, but we did. And we destroyed the group stage. So we finished with maximum points, 15 goals, we didn't concede any. I don't remember, as far as I can remember in this situation, so we did well. And then we got, in the quarterfinal, Solomon Warriors, which we thought we should have beaten. To be honest, they weren't generally that good. They didn't finish top of the group or anything like that. It was a slightly easier draw, but they turned us over in extra time. They just snuck the goal. We weren't at the races. It was around the time we started to hit a really bad patch of form, and they got through instead, and they made it all the way to the final in the end. Huahine, the Eels, who were the other team from Tahiti to get entered, beat Wellington on penalties in the quarterfinal. So they knocked out one of the New Zealand teams. They knocked out a big team. They did really well there. In the semi-finals, they then knocked out Auckland City. So they knocked out the other team from New Zealand across 2 legs. And then Solomon Warriors, who knocked us out, also got to the final, where Huahine won. And this is amazing for various different reasons. Probably more amazing to me. I'd probably care more than everyone else, but this means Huahine are the first winners for the OCL from our new system, from our new set of teams. Their first attempt, I think, and they have, well, maybe the second actually. They've made it all the way to the final and won it. So they've made history. That's fantastic for them. Probably what's most important is by winning this, they've now qualified for the Club World Championship. And if we just look at the Club World Championship, not all of the stages of the Club World Championship have prize money. Let's go back. So they'll enter into the playoff round, which is where Auckland, the winners last season, entered. They'll enter into the playoff round against normally a team from Asia. And if we look at the rules for this, playoffs there, just by being in that round, if they lose, they'll get £768,000 in the bank. They'll get £768,000 in the bank, which will instantly make them the richest team in Tahiti. They could buy entire clubs with that and buy their infrastructure. They could pay for some of the work we're having done for our club, which I'll mention in a couple of minutes. So that's going to change things. They're going to be able to pay more. They're going to be able to improve their facilities. They've become the mega rich team. I don't know. So it's the 1st of December, so they've got like half a season to play before. Well, it's around the start of December. It might not be the 1st this time around, but they've got about half a season to play before they get this money. But when they do, that's it. Just before the transfer window opens, they will be loaded. And if they make it all the way to the 3rd place playoff or the semi-finals and stuff like that, then there's ridiculous amounts of money. You get 3rd place, yeah, or just into it. If you get 4th place, essentially, you get £1.5 million. I don't think they will get that far. It's too difficult. The teams in this are too good. But just by being there, it's going to change the kind of landscape for the various competitions. So we need to try and make sure next season we do an Eels. We do what the Huahines have done. In the Inter-Island Cup, we were just expected to get to the quarter-final like we did last season, but we actually got all the way to the final, played Taha, who were the defending champions for the Inter-Island Cup, who beat us comfortably, 3-1 I think it was. So that was a bit sad. We were close, and we were playing at home. So the way a lot of the cup competitions work is they'll just randomly decide who is the home team, and they will play at their home stadium. So we had the literal home advantage, and we still lost. And then we did the exact same thing in the Mutiny, or the Mutiny of Pride trophy. So we played against the Naruto Island prisoners, and they beat us 5-0. And they're in the under-23s gold. So on paper we should have beaten them. So 2 runners-up. Rodrigo also got the runner-up for Manager of the Year. Semi Gerard won the Rookie Player of the Year, so players under 23, and McIntyre, our right back, got 3rd place. Semi Gerard also won every one of our team awards. So he won Player of the Year, Goal of the Year, Signing of the Year, and so on. He won all of that. It was a clean sweep because he's been so good. Because he's got 33 goals for us in 38 appearances. So that's kind of where we are with our competitions. If we look at the competitions generally, Bora Bora won, snuck in, so now we've had Moria who won it the first time, then Bora Bora. Mahisha been relegated, as have the Rapper Feral Cats. Mahisha lost in the relegation playoff to Maupti. So Maupti were the team that we replaced last season because we beat them in the opposite way around in the relegation playoff. So they're coming back. Looking at the championship, Uapoa won the league and they've been doing well in some cups as well, so I'll mention a bit more about that in a minute or two. So Uapoa and Maupti getting promoted, and the Exiles down here got relegated because they lost the relegation playoff against AS Chance. And AS Chance are the kind of academy team with the best youth facilities, but they're not allowed to keep players beyond the age of, I think, either 21 or 23. So they can produce the players and use them, but only for a little while. So they topped the Gold League and then won the playoff. So it's difficult getting from the Gold into the Championship because it's not automatic promotion. You've got to win the playoff as well, which they did. Tubai and the Terrors and Naruto were close, but there's only one way to get out, so they've missed out. Jupiters, who finished first last season, dropped off the pace, and the Wings were never really trying. And because the Exiles have been relegated from the Championship, it means their under-23s are getting relegated into the Silver. They're going down a step, but because of that, because they can't compete in the same division. Which means when we go down to the Silver, the Eels under-23s win the title and should be promoted, but the Hanger Vines get promoted by default, so none of these other teams are able to jump up, so they've won default promotion for that, which is interesting for them because they're not particularly good yet. They're the smallest team easily in the system. If we look through the cups, Taha have won it twice in a row now, so they've got a bit of a reputation as the Inter-Island Cup team, and yeah, that was painful for us. The Super Cup was played for the first time because it's played between former Inter-Island Cup winners and former Premiership winners, so it's the first time we had any of those at the start of the season. So Moria won, beating Taha for that one, so Moria adding to their trophies. And they added another trophy by winning the Windward Isle Pride trophies for the second time in a row. They've not got much competition in this. Pepite and Manuel maybe the closest, but they're not particularly strong, so I imagine Moria are going to win this year in, year out for a little while. On the Leeward Island, Tetero won it for the second time in a row, beating the Eels, who obviously they're the OCL champions, and this is a much more competitive situation. You've got Tetero who won it twice in a row, you've got Skybrights who did really well in the league, you've got Bora Bora who won the Premiership, you've got Taha, a two-time Inter-Island Cup winners, you've got Huahine who won the OCL, you've got AS Chance, you've got two promotions on the bounce. There's only really two weak teams in there, and that's Motu1 and Maupti, so this will be interesting. Mutineer Pride though, obviously we lost 5-0, and Naruto won that. There's not much else to say about that, we got thumped. The Marquesas Pride was won for the second time in a row by Uapoa, and obviously they've just been promoted to the Premiership as well, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. And then the Shield of Pride, where they all play off against each other, so all the cup winners play off against each other, the regional cups, that is. Moria won it, beating Tetaroa, who were the winners last time round. You can see the semi-finals there. And I think we're starting to see that Moria, they've got history now. They've got a Super Cup, they've got a Shield of Pride, they've got a Premiership title, and a couple of Windward Isle trophies. Tetaroa have got a few trophies and a few final appearances. Uapoa are making a bit of a name for themselves. The Eels are. So some teams are coming through. There's some strong and emerging teams with history now, which is quite good. So that's the competitions. We want to win some more of these next season, but there are some things that might make that a little bit difficult. So if we look at the finances for us, this is where we are, £230,000 in debt, or in the red. if we look at debts and loans, we've got about £360,000 of net debt. We've got a bank loan of £120,000. They've actually upped our wage budget, so we're only spending 3.6. We had a budget of about 4 point something, and they've put it up to 5.7, even though our projection is horrific. Unless we get some of that sweet, sweet cash money from the Club World Championship like the Eels, which again is going to be delayed by about a year and a half. Even if we were successful, we're looking, basically we'll probably be in a position, if we won the OCL next season and got to Club World Championship, it puts us into this bracket, so that our prize money would just make us break even now, if we won that. So it's not looking great, even though we're being described as okay financially. And what might make the finances a little bit difficult, or better in the long run, is this stadium expansion. So Chairman announced recently that we are going to expand our capacity by 794 seats. So we're going to end up with a total capacity of 1,294, which is competitive. It puts us in the same bracket as a lot of the other teams that have just had expansions or are currently expanding as well. So I think there's about 6 or 7 other teams that are either expanded or expanding, and they're doing it to about the same kind of level. And there's a couple in the championship as well who are expanding a bit, kind of a little bit. So it gives us a competitive amount in terms of it being kind of comparable, but it's costing us £473,000, and we have got a grant for it. So we've got £350,000. I don't think we have to pay this back or anything like that. It's from the authorities. I have no idea how the Rurutu authorities have got this £350,000. I'm assuming some kind of either buried treasure or offshore tax scheme. Probably offshore tax scheme for this. So they've given us that money, which is very generous, but we've still had to pay the rest, the kind of £125,000, which is where that bank loan has come from, that 120 I just showed you. So that's going to cause a bit of a squeeze, especially seeing as this isn't going to be ready until the very end of March, which means, if you remember the schedule we had this season, by March, there's only about 5 games left to play then. So the last 5 games of the season, and of those, 2 or 3 are going to be home games. So we're not going to get to use it much next season. It's coming a little bit too late. We're not moving or relocating whilst it's going on. We've got a slightly reduced capacity, so it means we might actually fill the stadium. So we had the highest overall attendance by percentage. Let's find it here for you. So yeah, our average attendance was about 473, which is better than all the other averages. But we never got a sellout. So actually having a reduced capacity might mean we sell out a couple of games. So the new stadium is going to be interesting. And it's also going to be interesting how we compete with some of these other clubs. So apparently we're okay financially. I think we are okay. It might just be everyone else is slightly more trouble than we are. In terms of salary spend, we're only down here in 11th. Bora Bora, Huahin, Moria, Taha are all spending over 250 grand. It'll be interesting to see what Huahin do when they get all that prize money later on. So we've done well. We've overperformed, really, considering the amount of money we've been paying. But if we're in debt and we've got that expansion, it's going to be tricky to spend more than we already are. And I don't really want to spend too much more. So the squad we've got might have to do us. And there's some potential in there. So this is the squad we've got. I'm happy with pretty much every player generally. I think Henderson might have to go because his legs have gone and he's got a few goals, but he's not reliable anymore. Wallace did well, so he'll be playing more with Gerrard. Chisholm was also good. Narandona's a fan favourite. Spearling, who was our star youth intake from the very first golden generation we had, did okay. He'll be getting better. I think tactically I'm not playing him in a good position, so he's not doing as well as he could do, but we'll have a look at that when we look at the tactical stuff. Manuel did well, which is weird to say, but he got injured halfway through the season, so Waite stepped in and did pretty well as well, with 10 goals and 9 assists. Lamb was one of our youth players on the left-hand side who did really well when he came in. In fact, I think he's now replaced Joe Jansen. So Phil Lamb doesn't look great, but played well. I think he's better than Joe in that position, so he'll get more starts. McIntyre, along with Gerrard, did well in the rookie rating, so he's had a good season. Ahmed Smith replaced Hamish and did pretty well. Conceded 46, which isn't quite title-winning levels. 12 clean sheets there, and he's young, he'll get better. And we've got young backup as well, so Tom Bothwell was the pick of the next golden generation, the one we had this season. Again, I don't think my head of youth development really understands what's meant by golden generation if he's going to keep saying it every season to us. But he could be good, but we don't have much other depth, so because I'm going to make a few tactical changes, my plan now is over the kind of off-season, see if I can get 1 or 2 players in. And there are a few players I want. I don't want to get too many non-Austral players, because I want the national squad to do well, and so I want to promote Austral players. But there are 1 or 2 players I want to get just to add a slight bit of depth, because of the tactics I want to play. So, before I show you the national side stuff and finish the video, I just want to show you tactically what's going on. And I'll only go over this briefly because I'm going to do a separate tactics video just before the start of the season. And you notice it's defaulting this one. I'll show you our standard one. So this is what we were playing most of the season, just a slight variance, like tweaks. 4-4-2. We bottled it towards the end of the season, but I don't think it's because of this tactic. I think this tactic's okay. In fact, I know it works in other situations because I've got an offline save where I'm almost unbeaten. I've got 1 game left to play in a season. It's in the Scottish lower leagues, so kind of comparable skill levels, and I'm unbeaten with 1 game left to go. So I know it can work. It just wasn't working as well as it could do. But we've got the depth for this formation, apart from maybe in this ball-winning position. The next version I've got is to try and address an issue I had where I found actually we were getting too much possession. We were passing short too much, and we were passing a lot up here in this kind of attacking midfield strata. So our 2 central midfielders were ending up here, and the wingers were up here as well because of the way they were attacking. And there's lots of passing backwards and forwards, and there wasn't as much in the way of kind of long balls over the top. So changed mainly this kind of midfield pairing. So the anchor man's deeper and provides more defensive cover and isn't going to be getting up there. Deep-lying playmakers, hopefully going to be playing the long balls across or getting it out to the wingers to then cross it in. So there'll be less going on here and it'll be a bit more direct, is the hope. But then I've also got the wide target man formation, so wide target whales for this one. And this is where I think I need a bit more depth because I've got players who can do it, but won't necessarily do it well. What I want with this one is lots of long balls to the wide target men for them to kind of flick on or pass, and they'll either go to the pressing forward who's going to be on the shoulder of the defence and in the channels, or it's going to go onto one of these players who's going to run onto the ball and arrive late. So it's a slightly different version of playing hoofball. So it's going to the wings to be held up to then go in rather than going directly into the box or the edge of the box. But I need more players for this. I think these are the key positions, and I don't have much depth there. I don't think so anyway. So I'm going to need to make some changes in that respect. But I'll do more about that in an upcoming video. And then briefly, just so you can see the kind of national or international picture, you're getting too mixed up. Basically, the Nations Cup is going on currently, and pretty much all of our teams are in there. They've all qualified for it from the first round. If you do well at this cup, then you get into the World Cup qualifying section and you have a chance at doing that. So it's quite important. So we'll see how this goes. If we look at the Atoll Championship, which was played right at the start of the season, Marquesas Islands won it this season. So the very first season, Taha won it, and then Marquesa won it this time around. There's not been much change in the rankings. There's not been much moving up and down, partly because up until now, until the Ocean of the Nations Cup, they'd only really been playing each other in friendlies or the Atoll Championship, which isn't that heavily weighted for the rankings, so there's not been much movement. But with the Nations Cup going on, that should make a bit of a difference. We'll see what changes there are there. But there's been no international opportunities just yet. I still think for a lot of the teams, we've not got the required number of players to kind of get them active. But we're getting very close for some of them, I think. So there we go. I've rambled on for far too long. Thank you for watching these videos. I really do appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it, and the next video is likely to be a quick tactical video, just going through the systems a little bit more, and then we'll be on to the start of our third season, where I'll go through any transfers and things like that. Thanks very much for watching. Please do check out the Twitter and the blog if you want to look at some of the other stuff, and I will see you in the next video.